Hello all, welcome back to Specific Nonsense. Today's episode is a heartfelt one. It's coming from the heart. Alright, I'm gonna be sharing a lot, so much so that after writing it and organizing it and preparing myself for it, I even contemplated not recording it at all. But, as Drake would say,
you already know though, you only live once, that's the motto, nigga, YOLO.
So, let's dive right in. A very close friend of mine is getting married this weekend. We've been friends since I was 13. Probably, yeah, around that. So, definitely more than half my life. I'm very excited for her. Extremely excited for the both of them. They deserve a happily ever after and then some. The thing is, this friend and I have had a somewhat of a roller coaster of a friendship throughout the years due to romantic feelings getting involved, mainly mine. She'll remain nameless because there's really no need to share that information. But before we get into all of the roller coaster details, I'm going to take you back to the beginning. I'm at 6th grade orientation with my mom doing the whole thing. My mom happens to run into one of her cousins, one that she hasn't seen or talked to in years. Family stuff, not important. Mind you, this is pre-social media. Okay, so there was no way of really keeping track of people's whereabouts, what they're up to, families, none of that. So they're catching up, and in doing so, we find out the reason she's there is because she has a daughter also in 6th grade coming to my middle school. No, this video is not about her. I'm not from Alabama. Suddenly, I have this new distant cousin that I had no idea existed until now, which thankfully I did find out about quickly because she was a very pretty girl, and that could have got real weird. Anyway, about 20 minutes later, I'm standing there with my mom. I get a tap on the shoulder, turn around, it's my new cousin. Except this time, she has a little brunette beauty with her, and I'm in awe. My cousin looks at me, turns to her friend, and says, "This is my cousin." The two share a little giggle together and then run off. I was confused and just hoping they weren't laughing at me. But what I did know was having a female third cousin in the same grade might have its perks. I unfortunately didn't see much of that friend the rest of the year. Just different classes, different friends, but she did stay on the noggin. Fast forward to the following year, 7th grade. I'm a new man. You know, I'm the quarterback of the 7th grade football team. I'm not wearing glasses anymore, got contacts in, got a little something growing on the upper lip. I'm feeling myself. Beside that, 7th grade is the first year you can take a foreign language. I'm Mexican on my mom's side, so I've always wanted to learn Spanish. And my mindset is, I take a semester of Spanish, and suddenly, I'm Rico Suave. I was very wrong. Especially because on day one, I walk into class right as the bell rings. Because, you know, cool, popular kid. I'm not going to show up early for a class. I got to make an entrance. I got to make sure everybody sees me coming in. And there she is. The brunette beauty, the 6th grade crush that got away, got lost in the mix. She's already at her desk, has all of her stuff out ready to learn, and I'm floored and suddenly ecstatic for Spanish class. I obviously want to sit next to her, but my dumb ass, wanting to look cool, walking in last minute, There's not many desks left to choose from. So the closest I could get was like kitty corner in front of her, a desk or two. But I'd take it. As you know, the first day of class, it's a bunch of icebreakers, right? I don't remember exactly what the icebreaker topics were. What I do know is I had to make some kind of a joke because that's who I am. I had to set precedent with the classroom that, like, I'm the funny guy. I'm going to be the entertainment this year. Look at me. Yeah. I make my joke. It wasn't one of my better ones because I don't remember a lot of people laughing at it like I wanted. But she did. She cracked up, thought it was hilarious. And I look back at her, I make eye contact, and she smiled at me. And that was it. I was addicted at that moment. From that point on, my life revolved around trying to hear that laugh more, trying to see that smile more, and trying to be the reason for both. We became friends almost immediately in class, which was awesome. But I didn't learn a fucking ounce of Spanish that year because all I would do in class would, stare at her awkwardly, try to make her laugh. I'd go out of my way to sharpen my pencil 100 times a day if she was sitting or standing over there. Just typical middle school game. What I did learn was that she could make me laugh even more than I could her because she was a freaking goofball and we had the same sense of humor, which just made her even more beautiful in my mind, especially as like a 13-year-old boy. We grew closer and closer over that year and were extremely close the rest of middle school going into high school. Unfortunately, after freshman year, we did grow a little distant for a while, but she would remain a crush from a distance. And whenever we would reconnect, it'd be like we never stopped. We'd never skip a beat. I'd be falling for her all over again. Post high school, life happened. I had a major life event that I will get into another time. We were growing up and growing apart, which just kind of happens sometimes. We had our own lives and relationships to focus on, and we just didn't really talk as much. But the universe works in mysterious ways, and a few years later, we went from barely talking to texting every single day. From never seeing each other to hanging out regularly. We did almost everything together. When our friend group would have something going on and they'd invite one of us, they would just kind of assume we'd come together. If one of us came alone, they would ask, "Where's so-and-so?" And we just got very close again. I went from feeling very lost and confused in where I was in my life at the time to suddenly laughing and feeling at home again. She made me feel complete, as cliche as that sounds. She, in many ways, brought out the best in me, and I very quickly remembered why I had crushed on her so hard as a kid. The problem was, we weren't kids anymore, and I didn't just have a childish crush now. I was falling madly in love with her, at least to my understanding of what love was at that time. And she was in love with me too, just not the way I wanted her to be. As a result, sometimes that brought out the worst in me. For the next 6 or 7 years, the roller coaster really began. The ups and downs and loop-de-loops of us growing closer and closer, and then me expressing that I wanted more, her expressing she didn't, me getting upset, pushing her away, only for us to pull back together, and me fall back into this curse that I couldn't break. There were also some occasions where it was the opposite, and she would express affection for me, but for whatever reason at the time, I couldn't do it, and I guess the timing just never was right. I don't know. It was more so me and my feelings most of the time that would cause a rift. But we'd stayed incredibly close throughout. We had even at one point made a pact that if we were both single at 30, we'd get married to each other. She was probably half joking. I was not. If that day had come, that we were single at that point, I had full intentions of knocking on her door on her 30th birthday, ring in hand. In fact, there were moments there, plenty of times, that it didn't matter where we were at on the roller coaster. It didn't matter. I was certain that we were getting married one day.
One day, I'm gonna marry that girl.
God had put us on this planet to be together. These were all just speed bumps, I would tell myself. There was even a day, I remember, that we were talking about our futures and our feelings and what we wanted, and she had asked me if I get married one day to someone else, will you come? And I, in complete seriousness, replied, no. No way in hell. Absolutely not. And I fully believed that statement when I said it. I didn't even want to think of that possibility one day.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
And as expected, that upset her very much, especially because we were one of each other's best friends. We cared about each other very much. This is someone I held near and dear to my heart. I would have did anything for her. But I was certain that I wouldn't support her happiness on a wedding day if it didn't involve me. And that didn't make me a very good friend. I was poisoned by my affection for her, and it was only getting worse. The more I was around her, the harder I'd fall. The more we talked, the more I wanted her. She was everything I thought I wanted and needed in someone. She was even more amazing and hilarious and fun to be around, smart, easy to talk to, easy to crush on, as she was the day I walked into a middle school classroom. On top of the fact that she was drop dead gorgeous.
She got a great ass!
But that poison really started to get to me. I'd fall asleep with tears in my eyes thinking about her. I'd be miserable if she wasn't texting me back right away. We'd go out and have a phenomenal time together. Amazing night. And I'd drop her off at her place and then cry on my drive home. I was losing myself. Not feeling loved or wanted by the one person you have your heart set on is an absolutely awful feeling. I felt unworthy I got down. I got insecure. I didn't feel important or special or attractive. I really beat myself up over it. I got depressed, and it affected other parts of my life because suddenly my emotions and my happiness were determined by how I felt things were going between the two of us. And sometimes I'd get angry. I'd be mad at her because I couldn't understand what wasn't I doing right? What could I do better? But she didn't do anything wrong. I mean, she has every right to feel the way she felt and want what she wants. I just mentally couldn't cope. During all of this chaos, I had made aspirations to move to Chicago. I was doing stand-up, pretty good at it, a little bit of acting, and Chicago was going to be the next step on my journey to be a big star. But I hadn't fully put in the effort to make it happen sooner than it did. Then suddenly an opportunity came that made moving to Chicago a lot more attainable. So I took it, mainly to follow my dreams, of course. But part of the reason why I finally made the decision to move was to get away from her. The feeling of constantly being so close yet so far away from something I wanted so badly was driving me crazy, and I couldn't do it anymore. It was unhealthy. I didn't know how to fight my feelings and just move on. I tried for many years unsuccessfully, and the only other way I felt like I might be able to deal was to run away, I guess, for a lack of better terms. Maybe she'd miss me and finally realize what she had all along. Or maybe I'd finally be able to break this curse. Either way, regardless, I had to try. The 3 years that followed my move, we did grow apart a lot, but it was needed. I think maybe even for both of us. There was never a lack of love or care for one another. We just needed to get off the roller coaster finally. I missed her tremendously, and the feeling of joy and happiness that we would have around each other, but I didn't miss the feeling I would get from the situation as a whole. And there's a chance that on my end, I was holding her back a little bit too from finding what she wanted and needed in someone. She had started dating someone, a friend of ours that we grew up with, who I also love. He's fucking awesome, dude. Plus, he makes her happy, which makes me happy. And he's the lucky guy that gets to marry her this weekend. I'm going to be watching her walk down the aisle soon, probably looking even more stunning than I ever imagined she would. It won't be from the perspective that I always dreamed it would be from, but it'll be from the position that I'm supposed to. And despite the way I felt in the past about this future moment, despite the statement I had made previously to her about this kind of day, I am actually overjoyed and excited to be there for her and to witness her happiness. Why did I share all of this? Well, a couple reasons. First being, This was kind of therapeutic, I guess. I need to get some of this off my chest. I had never really fully voiced this kind of stuff out loud, other than to myself late at night when I'm contemplating life.
Mom, just thinking about life.
What is there to think about at that time?
Everything bad that's ever happened to me.
Secondly, I wanted to make this for anyone who was or is in a similar situation that I was. For anyone who's cursed with a love that isn't reciprocated the way you want. I've been there. I know how much it sucks. I know how hard it is. You're not alone by any means. Although I know there are times that you probably feel as lonely as anyone could ever imagine. Just know that it will all be okay. It might not be easy. It might take longer than you want it to. Tears will be shed, but life works out. Everything does happen for a reason. We don't see the reason right away, unfortunately. And whether you want to believe it or not, that person may not be the one that you think, but it'll all be for the best. I promise. Learn to let go the best you can, and just let life happen. Lastly, I made this video to finally send my love properly to the person that I loved at an unhealthy level for too long. I wasn't perfect by any means. I realize that now, and I'm thankful for you. I'm sure we had put each other through some unneeded stress over the years, which I apologize for. Some of my favorite moments in my life involve you. The reason I'd cracked some of my best jokes were for you. You're the reason I've laughed the loudest, the reason I've danced the slickest, the reason I learned what I deserve, the reason I am hopeful for my future, and the reason I still don't know a damn lick of Spanish. You will always hold a special place in my heart, no matter what. And I wish you the happiest of ever afters, because you deserve it. With all my love, sincerely, Ronaldo. Hey, feeling fancy. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Check out my other social media accounts, and I look forward to sharing more specific nonsense with you soon.